When Arctic air moves in, the temperatures fall, and that's where you have to layer up. But what about your kids? At what age can they start dressing themselves, and what skills start when? Luckily, we have Kelly Quislin here from Red Door Pediatric Therapy to help answer some of these. Good morning to you, Kelly.
Good morning.
Good morning. So it's obviously cold out. We're in the midst of winter here. But when is it appropriate for your kids to start dressing themselves, not just for the winter, but really all times of the year? What ages?
Sure. So at age 1, kiddos will begin pulling off socks and shoes, and they'll start to cooperate with dressing by holding out their arms and feet to put them into sleeves or pant legs. By age 2, kiddos are able to take off elastic waisted pants, so excluding any fasteners. They should be able to start finding the armholes and pullover shirts. They can remove coats, excluding the fasteners, and remove loose shoes and boots. By the end of age 3, kiddos should be able to remove snow pants, put on their shirt, pants, socks, and shoes, although the orientation of these might not be correct yet, so that left or right or front and back of clothing. They'll be able to put on sweaters, jackets, boots, and snow pant clothing items. The fasteners that we are able to do at this age include snaps, large buttons, and pulling a zipper up and down, excluding putting the shank in the track. So just getting that zipper started. We're able to put on hats, we're able to put on mittens. Gloves are a little bit trickier, and by the end of age 4, we should be able to put on gloves. We should be able to remove pullover sweaters at age 4 and do a zipper in full, so putting that shank in the track, completely independent with that. We should have correct clothing orientation, so those front and backs, left and rights of shoes. And at age 4, kiddos should be able to identify which clothing is appropriate for the weather outside.
So it's going to be a process through the first 6 years of a kid's life, but it's going to be a slow process, and sometimes it is a task. But what are some ways that we could do as parents to help simplify it, make it a little bit easier?
Sure. So some great strategies to help promote dressing skills for kids is to allow extra time in that schedule, just so kiddos don't feel rushed, because when we're rushed and we're trying to get out the door and we're running late, that can increase the stress on the kid and the parents, and kiddos can give up a lot easier. So we want to promote them being successful when they're learning these skills. Using a visual checklist or schedule for all of the clothing items that we need before we leave the house is super helpful, especially in putting those clothing items on in the right order. I'm sure there's nothing worse for a parent than when their kiddo gets their coat and boots on, but they forgot their snow pants. So they have to take it all off, start over, put the snow pants on, and then get everything else back on. So using a visual checklist or schedule can definitely help a kiddo's independence with putting all those things on correctly the first time. Parents can coach kids how to put things on. So sequencing our body movements, where to put our hands, where to grab, where to pull, when to use both hands together. And if kiddos have a little bit of difficulty following verbal direction, you can give them some hand over hand direction. So just putting your hand on their hand and putting it where it needs to go, pulling our gear on and getting going. Modeling is also a great strategy. So siblings and parents getting dressed at the same time as kids so they can learn how to put that clothing on. Any sort of play activity that promotes hand strengthening or fine motor coordination can help with grabbing our gear, pulling it on, manipulating those fasteners and zippers. Offering clothing items to kids that are preferred, letting them pick, lets them feel like they're more in control of the situation, so it's a little less stressful. Sticker charts, rewards for trying and getting our things on is super motivating, and overall lots of praise and encouragement.
I think the praise and the encouragement definitely go a long way when you say good job. It also brings a smile to their face too, gives them that. But all right, now some tips maybe. Is it easier for a kid to do Velcro obviously than like shoelaces? Is that what we're talking about when you come to tips here?
Yep. Shoelaces definitely come in around age 6, so Velcro is definitely easier. Other things that are helpful when getting dressed is having a body mirror nearby where your kiddo gets ready in the morning, so they can see what their clothing item looks like. They can see if something looks a little messed up or funky, or if our shirt's on backwards, our shoes are on the wrong feet. It can help us plan to get those clothing items on correctly. Boots that have a zipper are a little bit easier to put on than say tie boots or slip-on boots that are a little bit tight. Some other strategies for keeping kiddos warm if they won't tolerate things such as hat or mittens is to try using a hood. It's a little bit less restrictive and still keeps us warm and protected. If kiddos don't tolerate wearing mittens, maybe our hands are a little bit sensitive, you could try doing a gentle hand massage before putting the mittens on. And if they absolutely won't tolerate it, putting hand warmers in our pockets is a really great strategy for keeping kiddos' hands safe and warm in the winter. Maybe some kiddos are a little bit sensitive to clothing, like textures or tightness. So generally, fleece is a little bit more tolerable than most of the other textures out there, such as acrylic, wool, or even nylon. And fleece is nice because it's still water repellent. So you can let your kiddo explore different textures, see what they prefer, and those preferences might change each year, so it's a little bit of exploring. Seamless undergarments are a great option too if like tags or seams are bothering your kid and they don't want to wear their winter gear. And then tightness is the last one to kind of keep an eye on. Generally, tighter clothing is a little bit more tolerable. All kids are different, so some kids like looser clothing, but general clothing generally has a little bit more friction and rubbing. So a great option would be to wear tighter clothing underneath that loose clothing.
Okay, so a lot of good tips there too, and I like the one here, Kelly. We are out of time, but when it comes down to putting on gloves, tell each your kid that a finger is a house, knowing each finger has to go in one location specifically. But Kelly, for those who have more questions, where can we find more information about Red Door Pediatric Therapy?
Well, we are located in Bismarck, Minot, Grand Forks, and Beulah. And if you would like to give us a call, our number is 701-222-3175.
Easy enough. Kelly, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good day. All right, we're going to be taking a short break here, but stay with us. North Dakota Today continues right after this.